And we are live. Welcome to Mojo's Movies Gaming Podcast, or Everything But the Kitchen Sink Podcast, whatever you want to call it. It still don't have an official name, even though we're already at episode number 7. Wow. I've got Grey Wolf Gamer here tonight. I do not know if anybody else is going to show up. I invited a few people. Some said maybe, others couldn't make it. But lots of times it's just me and Grey Wolf Gamer, so we're a 2-man team, and nothing wrong with that. But sometimes it's cool if we get a third or even a fourth, but we'll see how it goes. But like I said, we're here for episode 7, and the question of the day, and I'm gonna throw it right to Grey Wolf: are any of those Bethesda games gonna make it to the PlayStation 5?
I think they are. I do, and I'll tell you why. 7 billion or 7.5 billion is a heck of a load of amount to invest, and their investors are going to want a return. I don't think they're going to get a full return if they keep everything exclusive, at least not at first. So I do think, just like you saw with Cuphead, just like you saw with Ori, you're going to see at least the bigger games like Fallout and God, what was the other game that they had? Doom. Don't know why I forgot Doom, but I think you're going to actually see them on the PlayStation 5. Now, whether they're going to have exclusive content on the Xbox, that's yet to be seen, and I bet you that's what you're going to see more of. And I think it's going to, if it goes on the Xbox, it'll be the Xbox first. And that systems like the PlayStation. That's my theory, at least at first. Now, a year or two down the line, once they get their money back and they make their money, no deal. I think it's all exclusive. That's just how I feel.
Yep, I've heard that from some other people too, but I'm totally on the other side of the fence because they're all about Game Pass, and at 15 million, do the math. Okay, it's not $10 times 15 million, but it's also not $15 because it's somewhere in the middle. You have some people that only have the basic subscription, some have the ultimate,
Right.
so it's probably about $12.50, but multiply that by 15 million. Okay, that's a lot of money. And to get that 7.5 billion back fast, okay, because you're right, investors are going to want, well, it's not really investors. Microsoft is such a mega corporation; they don't quite answer to investors like some smaller companies do. I mean, they got to a point, but it's not at the
Maybe
same
not.
level. I mean, there's so many different divisions within that gigantic corporation. But anyway, 7.5 billion is a lot of money.
True enough.
But I'm telling you right now, they're not going to
I'll
put a
say
single.
we're not talking about like $100 million here. We're talking about 7.5 billion. That's an insane number. I mean,
Yeah,
that's way more than I think Disney even paid for.
yeah, they only paid a
So,
little over 4 billion for
or at least,
Marvel. And they paid like
yeah,
3 billion for the, or no, 4 billion for Disney. I think it was 4 million for Marvel too. So, or I said Disney, I
yeah.
meant
I still
Fox.
think you're going to
Disney
see.
bought
I mean,
Fox.
they did say that they're going to keep their timed exclusives. They're going to keep that active for now. So I know that there's a few on the PlayStation. That's why I said I think in the beginning you're going to see multi-platform, but eventually I
Just
think it'll
yeah,
just
anything that's not already under contract, there never coming to PS5. I'm telling you now, it's just not going to happen. They invested 7.5 billion. Why would they give any of that money to Sony? It makes no
but
sense. Game Pass, if
maybe
they add
not.
another 10 million, do 25 million, multiply that, get a calculator out, multiply that by 1250. It's insane the amount of money they're going to make as Game
Yeah,
Pass
but
grows.
okay.
No,
And
no.
you're
Why
right.
would you get
You're
Game
right.
Pass? You can get the game on the PS5. Why would you buy an Xbox and get Game Pass, or why would you?
Well, think about
You
this.
wouldn't.
Well, no, all right, I agree with you, but I'll explain. So here's my thing. PS5 doesn't have Game Pass. You have the Game Pass. You have the Xbox. My theory is that remember if they do release this, not all games, but if they do release certain games on the PS5 and the Xbox, they're still going to get the revenue. They still own the property. Yes, Sony gets a cut, but Microsoft gets the bigger cut. Plus, they get the cut from their own Game Pass and their own on top of that. So just like they released Ori and they released Cuphead on multiple platforms, they're getting a kickback on those. Granted, they released later and they were on Xbox first, and most people will have it want it on Xbox first, especially Doom. They want to play Doom or Fallout. So I think they will, at least initially. And I understand where you're coming from. I totally understand where you're coming from, but I think initially, just make a little extra money, they may keep it multi-platform, and then eventually it'll slowly get over to the point where Xbox only.
Now they would
That's my
lose way
theory. I
too
could be
much
wrong.
money.
If I'm wrong,
There,
awesome.
there would be no extra money putting them on PlayStation. Let's say, all right, you have to kind of do math. Let's say they put they sold 30 million copies of Skyrim for God's sake. So Elder Scrolls 6, let's say they sell 20 something million over a 2 or 3 year period, and only even if it's only 5 million on the PlayStation 5. Those 5 million people are not going to go buy an Xbox. They're not going to subscribe to Game Pass. But if they get those people to start subscribing to Game Pass, those 5 million are going to be paying $15 a month. It's a lot more money than selling 5 million times 70 or 60 than what they would get if they bring those customers
True.
into Game Pass. So they're just not going to put those games on the PlayStation. It's not going to happen. The big open world MMO type games or whatever they are, the continuing online games, yeah, those are good. Those are already on PlayStation. They're going to stay on PlayStation. They're not going to pull them away. Elder Scrolls Online, and I think there's like one more. I forget what it is. Those will stay, and any game that they have a deal for, which right now it's a couple of games, Sony's going to have exclusive for a year, and then they'll just drop right into Game Pass nicely, and then those games will be available for the PS5, just like pre-existing deals that happened in the last couple of years. But when any new game come out, the Obsidian stuff, that stuff's not going to PlayStation 5. Why would they give up a Bethesda game when they're not giving up an Obsidian game? Think about it. They've been doing this a certain way, and they're not going to suddenly change because they spent 7.5 billion. That's the reason they can't change, as far as I'm concerned.
Well,
They've got to get more people in Game Pass. Although 15 million is a massive number, and that alone will get their 7.5 billion back, whether they ever release a game on another system or if they sell any copies. But you got to realize they're going to be having Game Pass on PC, Game Pass for the X Cloud, and then you got to consider they're going to throw these things on Steam, so they're going to get some full price people paying full price for the games. They don't need Sony. They're not going to sell enough on that console to make. They would lose more by not getting people into Game Pass. That is their main function right now. And now I could be totally wrong, and you could end up being right. We'll see in a couple of years, because there's not a lot of
yeah.
these.
I
They just
mean,
bought the company, but there's not a
I
lot of
don't
games
doubt it.
coming
I mean,
out.
don't
Whoop, you
misunderstand.
dropped
I
out there.
I think you're right. Ultimately, I think it will. Whoop. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're back.
Testing.
You're
One,
good
two, one,
now.
two.
No, you're good now.
All right.
Yeah, you're good.
Uh, okay, cool. But I mean, I think you're going to ultimately be right. I think it's going to be 100%, Xbox and 100% Game Pass. Like I said, we'll see. We'll see. I think it's just in the beginning. You'll see some multiplats, like I said, next year or so. But I totally understand where you're coming from. It's a lot of money. They own the properties now, and like I said, the way from what I know of business, limited. I mean, I'll admit, I'll stand corrected, of course, but if they can make money on a multi-platform after they've made money on their Game Pass, they absolutely will, because that's extra money in their pocket because they own the IP. They get a kickback no matter where the game is sold, even on PC. So that's why I feel that some of the games may at least initially be multi-platform. But again, you're right. I could be wrong. We'll see. Time will tell.
Yeah. Here's the thing: a lot of people don't understand either. There's not a lot of these Bethesda games coming out anytime soon.
That's true.
I don't even know where they're at right now. I know they did a. The reason Fallout 76 was so bad, you got to go back to when that game dropped. They did not have a Christmas game that year, and prior to that year, and prior to what Microsoft's doing now, they're trying to drop a bomb every couple of months in the Game Pass. Uh, the big boys dropped all their games at the same time of the year around Christmas. The majority of the biggest games. Sony kind of went away from that a little bit. The middle gen to the end, dropping something in March or April that was usually pretty big. But let's be honest, they were just trying to keep their games away from Call of Duties and stuff like that because they didn't want to get trounced. And that's smart business. You don't want to put your God of War up against a Call of Duty. That would be stupid.
Right.
They knew Spider Man was
Absolutely.
going to sell well enough that they were able to drop Spider Man in the fall. But even it got like an October release. So it had like a month and a half before the Call of Duty that year dropped. And Call of Duty did outsell Spider Man. That, by the way, it only had like a month.
Of course.
It
It always
still
does.
outsold Spider Man during that time period. Now, on the back end, I
It just
don't
prints
know
money.
because they put Call of Duties out every year. So I don't know if that particular Call of Duty sold 15 million like Spider Man did over the next. It took 3 years to get to that 15 million number, and it took a, a two special edition consoles, a Pro and a Slim, that had Spider Man in the box. So that kind of propped up the numbers greatly too because they sold a crap ton of consoles with that Spider Man.
Oh
But
yeah.
that was all just beautiful, smart business by Sony. But here's the thing. Uh, what I'm trying to get at that year, Bethesda was like, "Oh shit, we don't got a game because Starfield and Elder Scrolls 6, those were like 5 or 6 years away because that's how long they take to make a great game." So they took the assets basically from Fallout 4, which was already kind of not the best compared. People didn't like it nearly as well as Fallout 3. But I liked Fallout 4. I thought it was pretty good. They fixed most of the glitches within a reasonable amount of time. But the thing was, they took the assets from that and they made a big open world game. And they're like, that we'll ride this until we get some games out there. But the next, the Wolfenstein had already dropped with the daughters in it or whatever, looking for, yeah, that was it was okay, but it wasn't great. It wasn't as good as the first two Wolfenstein games this past gen. But I don't know when that next one's coming. It might be a while. And Doom just hasn't been out very long at all, so we know we're not getting another Doom for a couple more years.
Right. That's true.
And at least I'm thinking 2 years, maybe 3, 4 years before Elder Scrolls 6, because their number one priority right now is the space RPG game. I just said it a minute ago. God, now I'm making myself look old. The Anyway, yeah, they're. But we've got the other 15 studios that they already bought. They're gonna Those games are gonna drop from all of the studios that Microsoft had already been buying. So that sets up by the time all those come out, and then they go back to do their next game. Hopefully, a bunch of the Bethesda ones will start dropping. I mean, 23 studios, 35 teams is pretty damn amazing. This is going to be the greatest generation ever upcoming, and I think Sony won't have nearly the games Microsoft does. But when Sony does drop some of these games, they're going to be amazing too. They're not going to drop something that's not just going to blow people
Competition's
away.
good.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh
So
yeah.
they know they can't they can't stumble and have like a subpar game like maybe their one zombie one was. Eh, it was
Oh,
good,
Days
but it
Gone.
wasn't great.
Yeah. Yeah. It was okay.
Yeah, it was good, but it
I
wasn't
didn't
great.
care for that either.
Yeah, but then they come back pretty strong with Ghost of Tsushima. I mean, they've got so many good studios too. So it's going to be a great generation to be a gamer. And actually this past generation was pretty good too. There just wasn't enough games. My opinion was, you look at the 360 PS3 generation, man, you got 3 to 5 versions of everything. It seemed like they were just dropping games left and right. Development time was rarely more than a couple of years. Some of the big games were already starting to like, it takes us 3 years. But there were so many more games that they were doing a sequel within a year because they just reused some assets, got another game out. All them Gears games were 2 years apart, and it's just the way it was done. But now it just takes longer, and now COVID is like really dragging things out. But I think COVID stuff's going to get relaxed over time, and we're going to see games start dropping at a regular pace. And uh, Microsoft's in the perfect spot. They got plenty of studios. They'll probably buy a few more. Although I don't expect to see any more purchases real soon. There was a quite a time gap between the last studio they bought and when they made this Bethesda purchase. And during all that time, they kept saying, "Well, we're looking, we're going to buy more studios." But it took a long time before this deal, popped up. And I think it took the dirty crap Sony did with Spider-Man and some other dirty deals they did where they went around to all the major third-party devs and trying to buy, beg for exclusives. They had that black bag with them, and hey, what can you give us exclusive? Well, all them companies turn right around, call Microsoft, and let them, hey, Sony's giving us money. We're going to give them something exclusive, or hey, Sony came by, and we sent them away, but they're begging for exclusive content. Microsoft knew, hey, we'll just buy a whole bunch more studios, and we won't have to deal with that crap. It was genius.
Oh yeah, I mean that was a great one. I mean that was. I'm not knocking it at all. I think it's great. I think you're right. I think it'll be an amazing generation. I think that the competition between the two will also be amazing. It'll just be one heck of a of a year next year. I think the following next couple of years. Especially around Christmas time when they start dropping
like
everything.
2 years and 3 years from now. I think next year's not going to be that great because there's some good games that got pushed out of this year into next year, but I think that means games that were probably going to come out next year won't come out to that following year. And I'm looking at the first games that were built from scratch with these two dev kits for these two systems.
Gotcha.
We're not going to see any of those games for 3 full years from now.
Yeah,
and that's those games start dropping. We're gonna know.
Absolutely.
It takes time, though. It does. You got to get deep into that generation before the really great stuff comes out. And they can say all they want that such and such is a next gen game. Well, if you started building it in this gen with the current dev kits and systems, and then you're just up resonant and adding some things to it, but it's not the same. Once they figure out these new consoles and all the ins and outs of them, we're going to get some amazing stuff.
That's true. That's true with all the consoles. Or even the Switch. Yeah, I agree. I mean, it'll be amazing.
Switch coming. I'm calling it next March 2021. You'll see a 4K Switch.
I think that would be good. That would suit Nintendo well, and it would definitely bridge the gap between the PS5, Series 1, Series.
And I think it's just a mid-gen upgrade. I think the 4K Switch is because it's going to be based on the same chipset. Yeah, that chipset that they use now in that Switch, I think it's just an upgraded version of that'll actually do 4K, and so I think it's just going to be their mid-gen upgrade, and so all these old Switch games they'll play on it. Now I don't know if you'll get any kind of boost or anything like that, and the newer games come out will not play on the old Switches or a downgraded version. Maybe they'll have a downgraded version of them. I don't know.
There is supposed to be a boost.
So maybe there'll be a downgraded version somehow that'll play on the original Switch, because I'd like to see that thing last 7-8 years. But but whatever. If it don't, I'd still be happy with a 4K Switch, and the portable screen probably won't even need to be 4K. It'll probably just be a 1080p screen instead of 720, or maybe even a 1440p screen. I don't know. Whatever cell phones are, it'll have that in that same kind of screen. But once you dock it, you're going to get 4K on your television. But all right, I think we beat to death this whole what games are going to PS5 or not from Bethesda, and we're kind of split on it. You're like down the future; they'll probably hold them out, but initially let some go. But I don't think they will. I think you'll just see. Basically, it's like about four games. The two that's already got the 1 year deal, and the two that are ongoing online multiplayer games. Those will stay on PS5. But I can't wait. That Starfield is what is the big space RPG one. I think that will be the next game we see from Bethesda. But all the other seven studios, I don't know when they got stuff coming. I honestly don't. So I'm hoping maybe I'm wrong on that and they get some stuff out. But we'll, over the next year. But I'm thinking we might not see any of that stuff till 2021, except for Starfield. I think it's or 2022. I mean, for the other studios, and probably mid 2021 for Starfield. If not holiday, they may hold that thing all the way back to holiday because that's pretty big. When they do a big game like that, it's going to be special.
As long as it doesn't turn into Anthem, we're good. Different company, I know, but still.
Yeah. No, it'll still be Bethesda. It'll probably still have a few bugs in it. Maybe not as many because Microsoft will probably kind of look at it a little more than yeah. I just think
I think so too.
it'll have a little more quality control going for it. But as far as like movie talk, holy crap, there's not a lot to talk about other than I guess more theaters may close back down out of the ones that are already open because Disney keeps pushing back movies because they can't get enough butts in the seats because of
I
this
know.
COVID restrictions. So the main Motion Picture Association Theater Guild or whatever they call themselves, I don't know their name and none of that. The main thing is they come out and said, yeah, we may be looking at having to close down a bunch more theaters, around the country. There'll be a few that'll just say, no, we're staying open because we're doing all right. But I think you're going to see a lot more get closed down because they need a big budget type movie, like a Black Widow in there to get people in the seats. But Disney's like, well, there's not enough open. So it's one of those catch-22 things that's screwing stuff up. Thankfully, it's not going to stop stuff coming to television. So all those Disney Marvel series are back filming. They did get delayed, though. They got them back in front of the cameras, but because it gets filmed, there's still all that post-production work's got to be
Right.
done. So they just pushed back the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and it's a chain reaction. So yeah, and then the whole thing with Star Wars, that's kind of interesting. Or the Mandalorian, that actor apparently did really walk away. I guess Grace Randolph, who does her little show, she started talking about it weeks ago, and it seemed like most of the other so-called insiders were saying, no, don't listen to her. They don't like her for some reason, but I really do. I enjoy her. I don't know if you've ever seen her shows, but she gives industry info about movies, and she's big on numbers. She'll break numbers down like nobody else's business on movies, and I like hearing that. But anyway, he apparently he's pretty damn vain, and he's worried he don't want to wear the mask as much. But it's like, dude, you signed to play a character that never takes his mask off. What part of that didn't you understand when you signed your name to it? So I don't have any feelings for him, and I don't think he's that great of an actor. You got to be careful when you say things like that because he's Hispanic, so you can't. That whole race card gets pulled real way too quick on stuff. But I haven't liked him in almost nothing. In the Mandalorian, we only had to hear his voice anyway, so he was doing those in a recording booth, and most of the time it was just stuntmen actually on the set playing the Mandalorian. But hopefully he's better in Wonder Woman because he's playing one of the bad guys in it. But yeah, I got a feeling I don't think I'll care much for that character in Wonder Woman either because it was kind of like Christopher Walken, who's a great actor, played a character in the
Batman.
second Batman movie.
Yep.
Batman Returns.
Yep, I remember.
Or whatever it was called.
Yeah, Shrek, I think. Shrek. I forgot his name already. But
yeah, I'm like, wow, that whole character should have been cut out of that whole movie. It was unnecessary. He could have played some other great villain from Batman and not just an evil businessman.
Right.
But anyway, yeah, I just But for him to cause a fit and walk off the set. Now, I've also heard some other rumors, though, that he's not really quit, that he's already told them that he'll still do the voiceover work. He ain't ever coming back on set. They can just use stuntmen for all the on. He ain't putting the costume on. He'll just do his voiceover because he's contractually, obligated to do that. So we'll see. And I don't mind that. I thought his voice was fine for the Mandalorian, but I always knew, I mean, right from the bat, that wasn't him under the mask the majority of the time.
Oh
Why
yeah,
would you take a risk on getting him hurt or anything? And he's getting the main pay for his voice work.
true enough.
But that, yeah, and apparently they're going to do some character arcs for some other people starting midway through the season. So that might be interesting. That way, that gets them off that one continuous long storyline, which apparently Disney was already kind of whining about that. They're like, no, I don't know what it is about networks or whoever's calling the shots wanting standalone episodes of TV shows instead of a big story arc. I think it's got something to do with syndication, because if you've got a bunch of story arcs and you try to, when you sell the show on syndication later, people don't do as well, because even if you're showing it every day, people miss episodes and then they just don't want to watch because it's got that ongoing story arc. I think that's what's in their heads about this stuff, but it's not really true. But yeah,
Well, we'll find out soon enough. Like I said, in the next season, what
when you're only doing
what he
10
does or if he
episodes
comes
to a
back.
season, you got to have it being one big story arc. I get
Oh
what
yeah,
major network shows, you got 22, 23 episodes. Yeah, I have about 10 or 12 that are continuous story arc, and then spatter out the rest, one off shows is okay.
yeah. They do that with a lot of shows. They have like the main story arc, and then they have like sub arcs that run parallel
Yeah.
to it. Sometimes they come together, sometimes they don't. Depends on the show. But yeah, with 10 episodes, yeah, it's just do the
Yeah.
one arc.
The
I mean,
HBO
you're really
stuff
limited.
and a lot of Netflix stuff's gotten to the point where they do the continuing story arc. It's the major networks that have never ever wanted to. They always have wanted standalone episodes. Even great shows like Supernatural, they force them. You know, the majority of the shows throughout the season, people don't realize are standalone. But right at
Oh, they
the
are.
end, they'll have the two brothers together, and they'll tie the overarching story arc, and just for that one little 30 seconds to a minute at the end of that episode, and then the very next one, it's something else is going on. It's a completely different story. Then at the end of that episode, there'll be something about the big story arc, and then maybe by the next episode, it is the whole show is about the main story arc, and then that next episode will be something totally standalone with just something at the end. And they did a real good job keeping viewers invested.
Oh yeah, they absolutely did. I mean, it wouldn't have lasted as long as it did if they didn't. That's for sure.
I was gonna bring up some recommendations for Halloween movies too, but I I, I picked up. Well, actually, I got about 8 or 10 stuff that I ordered, but they're like really, really low budget B horror movies. Most of them I wouldn't even recommend to people unless you're just a hardcore horror fan. But I did pick up actually it's something similar to that, a low budget werewolf movie. I haven't watched it yet, but I don't know. It's called Bone Hill Road.
I have not
It'd be
heard of
pretty
it.
interesting. It's a werewolf movie. They don't make enough werewolf movies, so whenever one comes out, even if it's low budget, I pick it up.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
There's
I'd
been
check that
some
out.
great ones in the last few years. I don't know if you've ever seen Late Phases.
That one I have not
Oh,
actually.
it's really good. It's got the guy from uh, Avatar, the one that played the military guy that was kind of the bad guy.
Okay.
He's a really good actor,
Oh
and
yeah, Stephen Lang.
yeah,
Yeah.
but he's in Late Phases, and No, he's not. It's not Stephen Lang. What am I thinking? The guy that was in the vampire movie where he's goes by the title of Mister, and he's got a young kid with him that they're traveling around. I don't know his
Okay.
name either, but
Yeah, I know what you mean.
he came right off of that movie, which is also a really good vampire movie. The sequel was in, but the first one was great. But then he did late phases, and yeah, he just kills it. And then plays a blind guy that gets put into like a old folks type home, and there's like werewolves, and yeah, it's really good.
I'll have to check it out. That's definitely sounds like it's something up my alley.
But
Um,
yeah, there's been a few other ones, and then there's been some silly ones like Wolf Cop. I don't know if you've caught those.
yes, that one I did see. That
Those
one
are
was
more
a
for
little.
fun. They're not. Yeah,
Yeah, they're not really
I prefer the
horror.
more serious ones, but I also like the fun ones too. I mean,
You know, I'm curious. Speaking of werewolf films, have you seen the remake of the Wolfman, the newer one? I mean, it's
the one
not
that
that.
had Del Toro in it,
Yes,
the
yes.
Benicio.
Yep,
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty good. I
I
thought.
liked it. I thought it
Yeah,
was pretty good too. A lot of
yeah.
people hated it.
Some critics kind of did, but it just didn't get the business that they expected. And
Yeah,
yeah, I didn't understand that because it was actually really good. I thought it was actually better than the Dracula that Francis Coppola made.
yeah, I agree.
But yeah, it didn't make Coppola's movie, Dracula movie, made a lot of money, and yeah, and then but the werewolf didn't. Yeah, the werewolves get no respect. I don't get it.
They do not.
There's
They
from about
absolutely
10 years ago, there was a low budget another cop werewolf movie that had
the
uh,
Bad Moon or something.
I can't remember
Is
the
that the one?
name. I have a copy of it. It's I only have the DVD. I'm not going to walk all the way into my living room and get into my
That's fine.
bookshelf to pull it out. But it was a really good werewolf movie that these cops had, you know. But stuff like that, pops up, and then you just got to jump on it and grab it, because it could be a long time before another one comes out.
Oh yeah. I,
I'm only bringing this kind of stuff up because this is supposed to be, we talk about movies and stuff too, and
oh yeah.
there's not been too much news, so it's good to just kind of talk about some of these horror movies to give people a ideal about what would be good to watch between now and Halloween. I try to watch at least one, if not two, a night every night. I go into my collection of movies, or I go look and see what's on Netflix. My Prime I don't have anymore. And I'll just say it right on here. Amazon's I got hacked or robbed by an Amazon customer service rep.
Ooh.
Stole about $800 from my on my card, and so I had to shut my account down. Now my credit card company they refunded the money, but Amazon didn't do shit. They didn't offer to pay me any money back. They didn't get rid of that guy, as far as I know. They didn't research it. They just ignored it. Other than when I said you got to
Uh,
close the account now because you're one of your employees stole all his money from me. So they shut the account down. They still owed. I still had about 6-8 months left on Prime. I never. And once I got my credit card changed and all my passwords and information changed to this asshat in India, it was some dude in India that Amazon. Yeah, but anyhow, I was in the hospital. I was fucked up and very, very ill and out of my brain on painkillers. I was trying to order the that Sega mini arcade
oh yeah.
mini for it's not the Blast City, it's the other one, the something City arcade machine. But this is a
Right.
mini one. It's going to have about 50 games on it. Anyway, Amazon Japan wasn't working, and so I called customer service, and this guy ended up just getting my credit card, and he went to Target and GameStop online and Amazon itself, and charged a bunch of shit that he immediately returned and somehow got the money not put back on my card, but got to him because he was a customer service rep and do whatever the fuck he wanted. It was pretty shitty. But
That
anyway,
sucks.
the point was is I don't have Prime anymore after about being a 10 or 12 year customer of Prime. I just always kept it because I liked the free shipping and it was cool to get a bunch of movies and TV too. But now I don't have it, and I'm not going to pay them for it because they refused to give me those 8 months back they owed me. Because I closed that account out, and they're like, "Oh no, you closed it. It's done with. You want now? We can restart you, but you got to pay." I'm like, "I'm not paying for a full year." But yeah. So I don't care. There's Shutter, which is awesome. I don't know if you subscribe to Shutter, but it's an amazing, amazing channel full of horror movies.
I do
It,
not, but I will check it out.
yeah, it's well worth paying for a streaming service. And I think it's only like $5 a month, but it's well worth getting. The amount of content on there is just insane. If you're a horror buff, if you love horror movies, Shutter is the place to go. Uh, yeah, it's awesome,
Nice.
and that's my recommendation for people looking for between now and Halloween. Just sign up for Shutter. Even I think you get a free month like you do on most of them. So even if you end up not liking it, you can cancel it after
It's
Halloween. But
perfect. Yeah, I was gonna
a
say if you
lot
do
of
it
horror
now.
movies. And they have a lot of television shows. They actually even have Creep Show, uh, and it's top notch people. The guy that does the special effects for most of the Walking Dead, Greg Nicotero,
Mhm.
he's one of the dudes behind Creep Show television show, and it's on Shutter. They've aired it on other places too, just to make sure they got their money. Um, but yeah, it's an amazing, great episodes. And it's I think now it is exclusively on Shutter. I think it was always meant for Shutter, but they I think they released it somewhere else that first season just to get it out there.
Right.
Because Shutter hadn't been around that long when they did it, but now I think they got enough subscribers on Shutter that they'll start holding stuff exclusively. But even if they don't, it don't matter. Some of the stuff they show is just so good. It's just I mean, even I find stuff on there, and I've got a huge horror collection, on DVD and Blu-ray and 4K.
Yeah, I would like to see more movies on 4K. Yeah, other than the mainstream.
Yeah, I'm
Like
gonna you have to watch out for some of these more modern movies because they're shot on digital cameras, and so all and the special effects are digital. But what happens is when they go to transfer those things, uh, you really only get an upres from 2K. You don't get true 4K because it's just too expensive to render all those special effects shots. So they just don't do it, and you basically get the Blu-ray looking maybe looking a little better than the Blu-ray, but it's not enough to. If you already own the Blu-ray, there's no reason to get the 4K.
gotcha.
But they don't tell you which movies are like that. They just throw them out. It's 4K. It's dazzling, and no, they're not. You have to be careful on some of the releases. Now they're actually starting to shoot some of these movies in 8K with 8K, 6K, and 8K cameras, and so they render those at 4K, so you get pretty decent transfers. And it's a studio by studio on how they do that stuff. But if it's shot on film, so everything up into the early 2000s that was shot on film, those transfer amazing to 4K, and they render them. It doesn't take 6 days to render the film, and cost them like $20,000, which a multi-million dollar movie. You hear these studios are crying about $20,000 to render these things, and so they just do it in 2K. It's like what? Really? Star Wars? You just rendered in 2K? What the effing is going on? That movie made $1 billion. But anyway, yeah, that's my complaint on why some movies on 4K don't look much better than a Blu-ray. But anything shot on film, just and if they go back and I'm not talking about a complete restoration or anything either. I'm just talking about they get the original film negative and then they put it into 4K. It looks really good. And if it's a complete restoration, then it's going to look even better. It
Oh
all
yeah.
depends on the quality of that original negative they use. They just
I,
put a bunch of Italian horror movies. Well, wasn't a bunch. It was just a few, but they got some of Felucci's movies. And he's like, been called, I don't know, the best gore guy from all the Italian filmmakers. but his version of Zombie that he just calls Zombie, it's been done on 4K, and I think uh, one of them's got Manhattan and something in the title, and there's a third one that they have out, and I've actually got really good. This is what I thought. I had really good DVDs that were special editions. God, they look horrible compared to these. I seen, and this wasn't even the 4K disc, which will look even better. This was just a 4K uh, on the internet, and I watched some scenes of it on there. And then I ran in there and grabbed my DVD and throwed it on. So I was like, I don't remember that movie looking nowhere near that amazing, and throwed it on. And was like, holy shit, what a difference. Uh, 4K, yeah, can be amazing. And depending on the movie, they tout up HDR, but HDR doesn't make everything look great. It depends on the color that was originally in there and stuff.
Right.
But but HDR is still big. It really helps stuff kind of pop on screen. But
I think the newer stuff you'll see, like you said, since a lot of studios are starting to film in 6 and 8K, I think HDR is part of that. So
oh
you're
yeah,
going to
yeah,
see a lot of the newer ones, of course. I mean, that goes without saying, in taking advantage of the technology. But the older ones, if they haven't, you know, if it's originally, because, the director, color and lighting are very much part of the movie. This is a director's choice.
yeah. You take a
So,
Alfred Hitchcock. They just released three or four of his movies in a box set, and one of them is the one we gets dizzy with heights. That disease. Oh crap.
Vertigo? Or no, no,
Vertigo.
no. Yeah,
Yeah, Vertigo. Okay, that movie was shot. Everything's about the color in it. The color of the cars on the street, the clothes.
right.
It was all done. He shot it that way on purpose. There's like early in the movie. There's like a brown Cadillac that's in it. It's just amazing that Chuck Berry put that line in one of his songs, "Coffee Colored Cadillac," based on a real vehicle that was in an Alfred Hitchcock movie that Hitch had it that color for a reason. And yeah, but anyway, I don't know about making some of those HDR because he
I
didn't
agree.
intend them to be that. You don't know. He's no longer alive. Sometimes there's people still alive that worked on some of them films, but I don't know that that always is the best thing.
I think they should, in those cases, they should preserve the original,
Yeah, but
shot.
in some
Right.
cases it's a no brainer. Like Jaws 30th anniversary on
Oh
4K,
yeah.
it's got to be an HDR. The water, it's just amazing. And I don't have that in 4K, by the way, because I just bought the 25th anniversary like 2 years ago after it'd been out for 3 years. But it's an amazing looking Blu-ray, and I'm like, I'm not gonna go drop another because the Blu-ray looks amazing. But again, that was shot on film, so I know the 4K is gonna look a lot better. But yeah, it's that whole double and triple dip, and I've been notorious for doing that in my lifetime. And Jaws is one of them. I've actually owned Jaws on VHS, Laserdisc, DVD, Blu-ray, and I'll probably end up buying the 4K eventually.
I was gonna say, might as well at this point, but it's a good
Yeah,
movie.
yeah. Once you've had it on everything else, it's
I
like,
mean, it's a classic. I mean,
yeah, they
there's
keep
nothing
putting
wrong with
movies,
that.
and I've got some other ones, some of the, horror movies that got special editions on by minor labels that put them out that I just absolutely loved, and I went ahead and bought them. But on a couple of different, like Evil Dead and uh, yeah, they're just I just can't help myself sometimes. But I've actually been pretty good on most movies. Once I had a good Blu-ray copy, I've not bought a 4K of it, and but that was the same held true when I had a good DVD copy. I didn't run out and immediately buy the Blu-ray, except for there was a handful of movies I did over the years, but a lot of them I was like, no, I've got a decent DVD that the movie had been restored and they put it out on DVD and it looks good. So I'm not gonna. But now that there's 4K, I might have to go back and reevaluate and buy those on 4K. Certain films, we'll see.
Yeah, it's definitely case by case basis with me as well.
Yeah, and I
I
got to find them at the right price. I'm
I
just,
still say the best, and this isn't really horror per se, but I guess it is. It is a Halloween movie. The original Ghostbusters. I
oh
still
yeah,
say the DVD is still the best version of it. Even though yes, they did the 4K Blu-ray and all that. It looks great. I have it too. But in terms of features and what the special effects and things, yes, some of the things that they included, it just the DVD was amazing. Why they went back from that, I don't know.
well, because it was a cash grab. Slap it on
Yeah.
Blu-ray. Don't put anything else in the box. Don't put anything else on the disc. And they've been known. But the thing is, if you didn't already have the DVD, then jump on the Blu-ray. Don't worry
Oh,
about it.
yeah, yeah,
But
absolutely.
at the same time, yeah, I know what you're saying. I've got some DVDs that even if I did upgrade to Blu-ray, I kept the DVD. I'm not getting rid of it because it's got certain interviews and the where the actor audio tracks where they talk about the movie while it's playing.
Yeah, the
A
director's
lot of these
commentary.
Blu-rays of some of these movies. Now I've still got a ton of laser discs that have some of the most amazing tracks like that. And even on DVD, they started doing it less, and then they started doing it even more less on Blu-ray. But it's kind of flipped now. What's happening is some of these small boutique labels, like Arrow Video, that the big studios they don't want to put out genre pictures that they own, so they'll sell the rights to uh, Blue Underground or Arrow, and there's two or three more. I don't know names of all of them off the top of my head, but they'll say, hey, for X amount of money, yeah, you can run off 100,000 copies or 1,000,000 copies, whatever you think you can sell. We'll take X amount of the cut, and you get your part. And then, but so for them to make their money at that small level, since they already got to pay a cut back to that original studio, they go out and they hunt down all the actors that were originally in it and production people, and they put on some real great special features. And there'll be nice booklets, especially Arrow still puts booklets in their these releases and all kinds of stuff. And then, but they got to jack that price up. So all of a sudden, yeah, you might be paying upwards 50, 40, $50 for some of these. And, uh, and sometimes they don't even release just a DVD only version, which is all I ever hoped for some of these things. But Scream Factory is in the States is one of those boutique labels. And Arrow now has branched out to the U.S. They actually have offices in the U.S. and so they can. Before they were just in Britain, but now there's an Arrow in the States because people were just ordering them online anyway, and they were already releasing most of their catalog titles or region free when they did when 4K started. Now the Blu-rays though were always region coded, but again, Arrow had a lot of theirs region free.
It's good stuff. At the,
Yeah, I just got ripped off. Actually, by Scream Factory, I ordered that Dolls, really great killer doll movie from the very
yeah,
beginning by Charles Band. I mentioned it before on one of the
yeah,
podcasts,
yeah.
and they sent they it said and I don't blame them. I blame Amazon. No, I take it back. This wasn't from Amazon. I think I ordered this directly from Scream Factory. It said at their website that it was region free, but yet when I got it, it was locked to region B, which is Europe.
Uh,
So I could not play it. And I used to have a region free player, which died recently, but I kept the movie because I love it. I've got it on laser disc, and I'm gonna buy me a new. Once I've paid for my Xbox and PS5s and do some selling of some older consoles, and I might even sell my pre-order of the PS5. I don't. I've been saying I'm going to do that, but and I actually have a decent offer that I could sell it. But I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do right now, 100% on that. But if once all that's taken care of and I've moved, then I'm going to just order me a region free Blu-ray player. And thank God with 4K they got rid of that region crap
yeah,
because people were just ordering shit that had region free players or a lot of the distributors or studios were just releasing Blu-rays region free anyway.
I don't really know why they even did the region stuff. I mean, I kind of do, but it's
Well,
just an outdated
piracy.
concept
It
at this
was just
point.
to help stop piracy. If
Yeah,
you
it did.
release a movie in Russia, okay, on disc, they take that copy from the disc and then they burn that movie and they make 10,000 more copies. And so and then people, then they get sold in other places besides Russia.
Right.
So by region encoding, DVD, they was like what, 9 regions or no 10? It was 0 through 9.
Yeah, it was
It was
crazy.
crazy. They had the whole world chopped up because that's where piracy was at its heyday in DVDs. With Blu-ray, they just had A, B, and C. They chopped the world up into 3 regions, and because I think they realized by then it wasn't stopping piracy. And then by 4K, they just said screw it. But yeah, let's circle back around to gaming and give me 1 second here. So if you want to throw some stuff out there, I'll be right back.
All right. Well, one of the things that I know that happened this week was, or last week, they released Ori and the Will of the Wisps on the Switch. I don't know if some of your listeners played it, if you guys played it yet, but I recommend it highly. But this is what I wanted to mention. I know it was like over a week now, but Digital Foundry did a breakdown of it. It's an amazing port. Even they did this whole background. Check it out. They did this whole like how it was made and the optimization they used, not just on the Switch but also on the Xbox, and it made the transition to the Switch very very well. The only thing is a resolution drop, and I think they took away the per pixel blurring, but all the effects and everything are there to some degree, and it runs at 60 frames a second. So check it out. Check out that
Yeah,
video. That's
they're
my
amazing dev. I haven't bought a copy for the Switch because I have it for the Xbox, but uh, my son, I don't think he likes those kind of games. Plus, he has it uh, in Game Pass for his PC, so he don't need it for the
oh
Switch.
yeah, that's
And
fair enough.
we kind of share the Switch. I bought a second dock, so I have a dock on my 4K TV for the Switch. So if I ever wanted, I just got to walk back there and say, "Hey, give me the Switch," and I just walk in here and throw it on the dock. But to be honest, I don't play a whole lot on the Switch. But that don't mean I won't a year from now or a month from now. You just never know. I get into here lately. I've just been doing mostly retro stuff with the TurboGrafx 16 Mini and the Neo Geo one that
Sure.
comes looks like a fight stick. Well, it looks like a controller, but it's a fight stick. But it's a
Right.
giant. Looks like a giant controller. It's a fight stick. It took me forever, but I finally got that thing hacked correctly. So now I've got all the great Capcom CPS 1 and 2 arcade machine games on it, and I'm just loving it. It's so great to play those all the Street Fighter games, all the way through the even the 32-bit ones, that were out on the Saturn and the PS1, and some were on the PS2. Yeah,
That's yeah. That I really want to get one of those fight sticks. I want to get the Capcom one, but it's just
oh,
right
it's
now
so
I just
expensive.
it is. It
Yeah,
really is.
I didn't even get that one. I was like, I had to pick one or the other. And the Capcom one's got higher quality parts in it as far as the buttons and the stick itself. But the ones in this Neo G one they're not slouches. They didn't put garbage in it. They did a really good job. It's not as good as what they did with the Capcom one though. But the Capcom one's kind of just ugly where it just says it spells out
I
Capcom. I
know. I
mean,
wish they did it with like a standard arcade like block.
yeah,
It's just I agree.
for
Oh
the
well.
for that uh, it's not Blast City, but it's the Something City Mini Sega one. They're releasing uh, a 2-player version of the arcade stick, and that's actually one of my tweets I sent out. I sent that picture with the original one.
Yeah, I think I saw that one. Yeah,
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 I've
yeah.
got the single player one. I don't have the dual one because they're like they usually run about $300 if you find one. Uh, but yeah, somehow I got to get back onto Amazon Japan and uh, try and order that. God, I hate doing that. But I got one of them Walmart credit cards where you have to put money on it in advance. That way I can't get hacked or anything.
Oh
So
yeah,
I
I know
just
what you're talking
put the
about. Yeah,
exact amount of money that I'm going to be spending. I put on there, and then I order whatever I'm going to get. I wish somebody like AliExpress had that, or AliExpress. I never say it right, but I have really good luck with them, and I don't ever have any problems. But Amazon Japan is like a nightmare, and I'm like, why can't they sell crap to the rest of the world like AliExpress does with no issues? I don't know, but yeah, I just have, and I hear people all the time. I see them on YouTube shows about retro games. Oh, I got that from Amazon Japan, and I'm like, man, most of the time I try to order stuff from Amazon Japan. Never gets ordered. He'll tell me it's ordered. Everything will look perfect, and then it just never shows up. And then I check, and no, they never actually took the money off my card. And yeah,
I've
and right
heard
now I
that.
can't even log into Amazon Japan. There's something wrong with my account, and it won't even let me log in. So I'm like, but I really want to get that because I did get the Astro City. That's what it is, Astro City Mini. I did get it ordered. I hope anyway. It said it was ordered, and I just got to make sure, about a week before it's due to ship, that the money's in there because they don't charge until they ship. But I got to make sure that I got the total amount of money on that net spin card that I got, and hopefully it'll get shipped. But I ordered a PC Engine Mini from there. That same thing. It went into my card. It said it was ordered. Blah blah blah. All that, and I never got it. Never got shipped. So they never took their money. At least I didn't get ripped off or anything. But I'm like, what happened? And then I couldn't. You can't call Amazon Japan customer service anymore. It doesn't. They just discontinued that service. You have to do an on live kind of thing, and that never works right for me. So yeah, it's just
Yeah,
sucks.
I
I don't
actually
have
been
any.
using. I'm sorry, go on.
No, I was just gonna say. Currently, I don't got any. I don't know anybody stationed in Japan. I've been out of the military for so long now that all the people that I knew of, they're all about out now, and I don't know anybody that's stationed over there that can just like go buy that for me. But so hopefully at some point I can figure out how to get on the Amazon Japan and order that.
The retailer I use, they're not 100% cost. What I love about them though, because they're mostly out of Hong Kong. What's interesting about them is that when you do the FedEx Express, they charge like $17, and it's literally overnight halfway across the world. It's an amazing
Yeah,
shipping.
some of the vendors at AliExpress use that, and I get stuff really quick, and I'm like, how the hell? And then I order other stuff from there, and it's like 3 months. I've heard
Right.
some people say 6 months, 9 months, but I think the longest anything's ever taken that I've ordered was about 3 months.
Well, I ordered so along those lines, not from Playasia. I ordered it from Strictly Limited Games, the Darius collection. I'm a huge Darius fan, and they shipped it over a month ago, and it's sitting somewhere in Chicago right now, and I'm still waiting for it. I'm like, I wish they would have offered express
And that's for
shipping.
the PS4 or the Switch.
That's for the Switch. I got the Switch version.
Okay. Yeah, they
Um,
didn't put that on Xbox. I remember when that got released, I was all super hyped about it because that's another series I love. And it's like, whoa, 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 why would you not put that on Xbox? What the fuck is wrong with you people?
I
Why
don't
would you
know.
turn
That's
down free money? Even if I'm the only person that order it, you're not you're not losing. You got one more sale. Come on.
I don't know
To
what they're
port a
thinking
game like
there.
that, how many is there, like 4 games on it, or is it just two?
Oh no, this one is like it's oh my gosh, it's the
6 or 8 of them?
yeah, it's like eight of them. It has like every game, including the some of the unreleased ones. It's like everything. It's like the
Yeah, I
TurboGrafx
don't
PC
understand when these
engine.
companies don't port stuff to everything. It's like
Yeah,
you're leaving money on the table. Stop it. It that's not a next gen game. So to port it over would be so easy.
yeah. It's done by
You know,
M2 as
one
well.
dude at your company could do it on his lunch break, and then we could have that for the Xbox. But
Seriously, and M2 did the the translation, the emulation. They're good. They're really good. And them and Hamster, and it's excellent. I mean, I've played it. I'm waiting for the physical version, but there's no reason it should have not been on the Xbox. It definitely should have been there. I don't know why they didn't do it. I have no idea.
No, yeah, that just stuff kills me. That's why I was so pumped though when they announced that uh oh, hold on. Man, my brain did not. I've been not getting enough sleep the last couple of days. I've been getting up early. Um, I've got it written down. R Type Final 2.
Yes,
Yeah, it's coming for the Xbox Series X. I think it was originally always announced for the Xbox One,
it was. It
but
was,
but
but
to
they
know that they're
expanded
actually
it.
going to do an enhanced version and drop it on the Series X, and that got announced at the Tokyo Game Show. I was like, oh, thank God. So maybe that Darius collection will make it to the Xbox because that I love those games.
Oh
That's
yeah,
my jam.
same here. Same here. The one thing
I,
I'm so thrilled that between the three systems, I mean, it's just been a shmups heaven. If you're a shmup fan, this last generation, the generation coming up are amazing because they're releasing like everything. I mean, Darius, they released R-Type, they released Raiden, um, all the Psycho games. They just
yeah,
did a thing.
I've seen there was a collection of that, but that didn't come to Xbox either.
No, it did
So I
not.
guess you got to get a Switch for those. I'm gonna have to. My son's had the Switch for a while now. I think I might have to bring it back in here and just go in there and order some of that stuff for it.
I have the Switch versions of most of these games, and they're excellent. Some people complain that at least with the Darius, not the Darius, Darius is fine. Psycho Collections. There's this big thing about how there's this controller lag more than there was in the arcade. Personally, I don't see it. I don't feel it. It works. It
Yeah,
seems responsive enough to me. I'm not some superhuman person that literally can,
and
count frames.
these are chumps. They're not bullet hell. Now I do have an issue with some of the bullet hell games. I never was very rarely could I ever get to that zone where I could just make
Oh
it through
yeah,
five, six,
they're
seven
hard.
levels of those type games. I still have some of them though. I mean, I've got a handful for the 360. Especially the cave games. I love them, but I don't like the difficulty level of bullet hell games or pink bullet games, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
Uh, but I'm even a horizontal jump fan. Some people won't even know if it's not vertical. It's not. No bullshit. Some of the horizontal ones are amazing, and I love them. They don't all have to be vertical.
I agree with you. I'm totally okay with anything horizontal, vertical. I mean, I love them
Yeah,
both. And I mean, one of my favorite games of all time is 1943. That's a vertical game.
yeah. Uh,
So I mean, right there. But
there's like 92 jumps for the Sega Genesis. Now, 10 or 15 of those are more run and gun games. I don't really consider those shumps, but some people call them shumps.
nah,
Uh,
those are run and gun. That's a
yeah,
whole
I like
other
to. I
genre.
like on my EverDrive. I have a folder that just says run and gun. I have one that's labeled shump, and then I have them put correctly where they belong. But yeah, and then my God, the Saturn had
Oh
glorious,
yeah,
including I've got several of the Darius games on for my Saturn, and they're just amazing.
yeah, I do
And I
too.
just love the chunky, beautiful graphics on a CRT for those kind of games. That 32-bit was just amazing.
It's funny. Little anecdote there. The Darius Gaiden for the Saturn, like it's a very highly sought after game, and I actually found it in the store complete for $5.
Oh, sweet.
Everything. I was
I've
like,
just got a
oh,
pirated, burned copy, but I don't mind.
oh no, that's fine. But
It plays perfect
yeah,
and it looks amazing.
yeah, I love that game, and that's part of the Darius collection as well. It's on there.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
gonna have to break down and order those for the Switch because I mostly my son puts the games on the Switch and he don't have a whole lot on there. Uh, he only likes certain things, and I see stuff all the time. I'm like, man, we need to get that for the Switch, and I'll mention it to him, but But since I'm not paying for it, he don't order it because he don't want
Yeah,
it.
it's hard to get the physical, but
He
what
probably
you're
said
you're.
that after you heard me talking about him.
But you can also, if feel free to. I mean, I'm not saying you feel, but anyone out there, don't be shy about downloading them off the eShop. They're cheaper, number one, than if you're trying to
Yeah,
find a
that's what I'm
physical.
gonna do. I'm not.
Yeah,
I don't. We don't buy anything for the Switch physical other than we did get Zelda Breath of the Wild physical because we bought the big special edition box,
sure.
and then we got 3 or 4 of the what are the little toys they sell that give you points and crap when you touch it.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I don't.
The
I don't
noodles.
collect those
Yeah,
things. I know what they are, but I wasn't gonna say it because I'm not. Yeah, we don't really collect those, but we bought a few for the Zelda game just because I don't know. We were getting the Switch and Zelda, and already knew how special of a game that was.
oh
But
yeah,
yeah, so I don't know what all he's even got on there now, but I know he's not got no shumps on it. So I'm gonna have to put a few on it myself.
oh yeah.
I might just download. I might put my own card in there. You can switch out the memory card drive. I could put save my games to a different
Yeah, I
card.
think you can. I haven't tried it myself, but I do know that as long as what you could do, and this is an interesting thing to back up, even though you can't back up your saves, you can back up your downloads to your PC because the card and the downloads have the what is it, the code on it. I can't think of the the DRM, whatever. But if you,
Okay.
I did this, so what I did is when you upgrade your card, I actually took that one card, put it on my PC, transferred it over to the new card, and it just worked out right out the
Can't remember what
box.
size we put in this that Switch, but we bought it day one, and it was whatever's the largest card you could put in then. Since then, they did an update where you can put in a bigger card, right?
Yeah, it's up to 2 terabytes.
Okay, yeah. So we're not even near there, but I'll get a 2 terabyte card. Those are pretty pricey, but
They are. They are. I got a 512 gigabyte card, which I got off
yeah, I don't know what
Amazon.
size we have in there, but it's nowhere near to
Yeah,
yeah.
mine. I
Worry
mean,
about me
honestly,
feel.
Switch games are usually pretty well compressed because they don't have to have the 4K assets and stuff. So a 512 gigabyte is maybe the equivalent of like a 2 terabyte on a
Yeah, I
PlayStation
don't know why I
or
understand
the
people get
Xbox.
so freaky over the Xbox Series S. There's no 4K assets. Those games aren't going to be
I know.
gigantic. They're just not. There'll still be some big games, but they're not going to be. You just play it, delete it, and you can re-download it later.
Yeah, it keeps you
It's not
safe.
a
It's not like you're
big
saving.
deal.
Right.
Or buy just a cheap uh, mechanical hard drive,
Yeah.
4 or 5 terabytes, 8 terabytes. They're not expensive,
No, they're
and then
not.
just leave the game setting on it. And when you get ready, when you want to play it, then transfer it to your internal SSD, and you're good to go. So you don't even need that expansion card thing that they sell. I don't know why people don't get that. Everybody wants to make such a big deal to transfer a game from a physical mechanical hard drive to an SSD. Doesn't take no time.
It's pretty quick.
You
It is.
can't give up 3 minutes of your life to save 150 $200. I mean,
I
it's
have
not a big deal.
just a
I
point of comparison, just to kind of underscore your point. On my PC, I have two hard drives. I have a 1 gigabyte solid state and another 1 gigabyte, 5400 RPM. Really crappy and old. And I transfer between the two of them all the time, and it's very fast. It's not like you're running the operating system off the standard hard drive. As long as everything is running the operating system, the main core is running off the solid state. The only thing that the other hard drive is doing is just transferring data. That's super fast.
yeah,
Even a slower hard drive is super fast. People don't realize that.
the,
It's because you don't have to search for everything, and
the
everything is
internal
together.
and the internal in the current 1X is much faster than the previous ones. And it's not an SSD or anything,
No, right?
but I've got that little that everybody talks about having. It's the in fact I've got it hooked to my Service Pro right now, but it's the Samsung. I can't even read the whole, but it's a little SSD drive, and it's nothing special. It's not super fast or anything, but it's still faster than any mechanical one. But some games I hook it up to my 1X, and then I just transfer from my big hard drive to it instead of the internal, and play it off of that. And Yeah,
Yeah,
it's quick. It's 2-3 minutes tops, and it's transferred. Sometimes not even that, depending on the game.
right.
So people
No,
all that are freaking out, they need to knock that crap off. That's fear mongering, and that's just BS. I get so sick of hearing people.
I agree, and I don't think people really understand how
But
hard drives work.
hey, I will eat the L. I was saying for weeks and weeks leading up that thing was only going to be $150, not 220, and I was dead wrong. So yeah, I got to take a big old L there. But my information was being based on the fact that uh, that company has SSDs M.2s that are only 1 terabytes. They're only $150,
Right.
and some are even cheaper than that. So I just threw a pretty what I thought was a pretty good source
I'm gonna make a
telling me
prediction.
that 149.99 was what this was going to cost. But I think he was basing it on the fact that you can get an M.2, at that price right now, and this is not M.2. It's a little more. It is meant just for the Series X, but
Yeah,
as soon as other manufacturers are allowed to produce these, you're going to see the price 1 year from now. There'll be 10 companies making these things, and it's going to drop.
I agree. Well, I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this for the people who are all, that's too much for the Xbox. Yeah. Wait till you see the PlayStation prices.
Yeah, that's even
That's
more,
gonna be more.
way more. No one's even making those yet either,
Right.
unless Sony made them sign something in total secrecy that 6 months ago they started making these drives in secret. I don't think anybody is. So there's no product out on the market yet that you can order that has to. These are proprietary things, and yeah, it could be ugly, and it's the full drive. You have to pop the old one out. Well, no, they are saying it is an expansion bay, similar on
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
thing. So
There
you'll
is.
pop off one of those ugly ass wings, and they'll be got an expansion bay in there, and you'll be able to pop this in. Because originally I had read or heard that you actually had to take the internal one out
That's true with the
and put a
PS4,
new one in.
but not with the
Yeah, that's
not
how
with
the
the
PS4
five.
started,
Yeah.
and then halfway through the gen, they finally, after everybody cried and bitched forever because you could always just plug and play on Xbox with hard drives, Sony finally did an update that let you do it,
Right.
and even it was limited though. You can't pop an 8 terabyte hard drive onto it. It's 4, I think it tops out at, and I'm not sure, but it's not. You can't do a 5 or 6, I think.
Well, to be honest, I've been doing pretty good with two.
Yeah, that's what I have on mine. I've got a 2 terabyte on my PlayStation 4.
I haven't hit the maximum. I haven't maxed it out yet. So, and we're approaching the end of its life, so I'm not concerned about that. Five is a different story. We'll see what happens with five. But
I have quite a bit of stuff digitally on the PlayStation. All their bangers, I have the disc because I didn't trust Sony, and I'm like, I'm not going to buy, God of War digitally. And
yeah.
then the next console comes out, and at some point, it's no longer back compat. You
Okay,
know,
I'm glad you brought that up. Little another something interesting. Spider-Man. So if you have the original Spider-Man on the PlayStation 4
which I do.
and you want to play it on the PlayStation 5, while you can play it on the PlayStation 5, if you want to play the remaster is
Well,
not compatible with
only
the
if it's one of
saves.
those games that. I'm sorry, I should have interrupted you. Go ahead, just
I was
finish.
going to say the if you do the remaster on the PS5, it is not compatible with the original game's save files.
Yeah,
So you have to start from scratch. A lot of people are upset at that. I can
it's not
understand that.
enhanced or anything either. So you don't even get to play the enhanced version that way. You got to buy the enhanced version,
Right,
which is
right.
total garbage.
Yeah, that's messed up. I mean, you get it from Spider-Man Miles Morales, but I mean, I'm happy with the original one.
Yeah, this is just DLC for the original one. No matter what they say, this is a 5 to 8 hour, maybe even, let's give them some credit. We'll say 8 to 10 hour DLC,
Yeah.
and it's looked amazing. It'll be great DLC. They're a great company, but it is not a standalone game. And all these people are like, well, I'm buying my PS5. Listen, they're gonna finish that game the very fucking first day. They're gonna feel
That's true.
stupid. I just spent $500 and I don't got anything to play on this bitch. that game is not gonna. Yeah, and how many games are they really gonna buy? $70 a pop. You gonna spend 500 for the console and what? And buy five other games? No.
No, you're
Well,
not.
rich people, yeah, stupid rich, but yeah, that's not gonna cut it. That's why I love Xbox. Thousands and thousands of back compat, and they have the most next gen games coming out for the next gen, way more than Sony's offering. And then they have all the other stuff that'll just being released that will get an upgrade at some point. It's just better for your money spending wise. I'm a firm
Oh yeah,
believer. If
I'll
you
agree
didn't get
with
a
that.
PS5, don't worry about it. You'll be fine. Go with the X and the or the S, and then pick up your PS5 2 years later when Sony has about 8 or 10 good games for it. Unless you don't have a
Yeah,
PS4, and then you
yeah.
just
This, I
go ahead
mean,
and you know you
yeah. I
get
was
the
gonna say.
PS5.
See, I went with the PS5 myself. I think I mentioned this last week because it is backward compatible with the PS4, and I never got the
No,
PS4
no,
Pro.
it is not. No, it is
So
not. Quit saying that. It is not. There's only a
yeah,
hundred.
it is.
No, no, no. Right now,
That is not true.
no, it is
I
true. You
heard that
cannot.
it's
No,
90.
you're. Nope, nope, nope. I'm telling you, you got to trust me on this one. Every PS4 game is not back to power. Maybe someday, maybe they'll get 80, 90% of them, maybe, but they're not all. And right now, there's only 100. I'm just telling you.
That's
That's
not what I
all.
read, and
No, you read wrong. That's lies by Sony or somebody putting out BS. They're going to drop them. In fact, Sony's never made an official statement other than the top 100 games are going to be available back compat. So whatever they consider the top 100 games for the PS4 should be available at launch, where you can where you can take your PS4 disc and put it in, and then it's going to download a digital copy of that game into the PS5, and it's only going to play a PS4 version with no enhancement whatsoever, no improvement. Where that's all automatically done on Xbox, because Sony's got the PS. You might get what was available for the Pro because they've got a PS4 Pro uh, on the chipset that it goes to, as well as a regular PS4 base model. Yeah, and that's it right now. And I think they're going to add games down the road, and they're not even going to. Those games aren't even going to be available to purchase digitally, as far as my understanding.
yeah,
Uh,
that I knew. That's
it's
true.
just crappy. At least for Microsoft, if you don't already own those, you can just buy them digitally. I mean, that's how I've got the bulk of my three. Well, yeah, I think it's probably about 60-40, maybe even 70-30. I've bought digitally because I had maybe 30-40 games, and but a lot of them never came back compat. By the way, the stuff I had such eclectic taste of getting, Japanese bullet hell games or shumps on for the 360 that then Microsoft just said no, we're not going to do those back compat, which still pisses me off.
Okay, so I stand corrected. You are right. I did find the article on Eurogamer that mentions the 100.
Yeah,
Okay, so
yeah,
well, my
that's it.
mistake.
But they're going to keep releasing them. You'll get, and Microsoft did the
Oh
same
yeah.
thing. So I'm not bitching at Sony over that. It's smart because it's like when you don't have anything big dropping. Oh, hey, well, we got 5 games here that they just finished doing the patches, and now they can be back compat. Throw that out there, man, and it's good news. Hey, this week I've got that game. I can throw it in, or I can purchase this if they end up selling them, and that's still something that's not 100% sure on it. Whether you're
Well,
going to be able to buy those PS4 games
yeah.
digitally on the PS5, I don't understand why they wouldn't. It didn't make any sense to me.
Well,
But I have heard that you won't be able to. But I've not read that from Sony saying that.
well, I'll tell you what. I when I get it, I will definitely note on here, of course, and on my Twitter, whether or
Oh yeah,
not because
I'll
I
probably
have
end up
some.
keeping my pre-order or buying another one
Yeah,
soon after release.
because I have some obscure PS4 games. I'm gonna pop right in. I want to see if they work great. If not, oh well. I'm not getting rid of my PS4. That's
Yeah, I
if
don't
anything, I'm
have
gonna move
a
that to another
base
key.
PS4 anymore, so I'm gonna if I do trade in my PS4 Pro, which I'm thinking about doing to get that 200 to put, because between the two consoles, you're looking at $1,000. So if I trade my One X in and the Pro, that's 400 right there. And I got an OG Day One Xbox One. That's 500. That pays for my X. And then I may sell the pre-order. I may keep it. I don't know if I sell it. I hope I'll get enough where I can buy another one. But I'll probably just keep it. And then so I'll need. Yeah. So I'm thinking. I still want a PS4 though, but I don't want to keep this Pro. So why not just on Black Friday this year? I think PS4 Slims are going to be dirt cheap.
Oh yeah,
Might just order me
no
one
doubt.
and I'll throw it on my 1080p TV, and then and that covers me for all these games if some of them aren't back compat that I have, or if. And here's the thing: depending on when you buy your PS5, if you wait too long down the gen, you're not going to be able to play PS4 games. Sony will cut that shit off. They did with the PS3 and they did with the PS2. Later models of those were not back compat.
Mm.
So, the PS2 Slims aren't back compat with the PS1. Uh,
Well, okay, not
some of them.
necessarily. I was gonna say because when I have a PS2 Slim, works fine with PS1 games.
Yeah, some of the revisions do, but I think the latter ones don't. I know all the way after I got back in the States from Korea, and this was pretty deep into the PS3 360 era, because all my stuff was still being shipped and we didn't have a console. And my son was like, "Well, shit, let's just buy a PS2 Slim because we can pick that up for like, I think we got one at GameStop for like $79, brand new. It wasn't used or anything, but it wouldn't play PS1 games if I remember correctly. I don't know. I still have the thing somewhere. I don't know where it's at, but because I've got the OG PS2s, with the hard drive bays and all that in them.
Right. Yeah, I still have like I had to replace my PS2. I told you the laser just died on it. But the Slim that I have is even though I don't have the hard drive because I don't use the hard drive on that one. Um, it works fine with my PS1 games. I mean, that was like the first thing I checked. But although my PS3, I have a PS3 Slim that works with PS1 games as well. Interestingly
Yeah,
enough.
just don't PS2s. I've got a
Right.
Fat Boy PS3 that does both of them.
Yeah,
And
I
I'm
have
hanging
that.
on to that thing for dear life. I'm never giving it up.
Yeah, I have that too, and
Three
um
generations of
I don't
console
use it.
games play on one, and I love it.
Yeah.
Although the HDMI output don't work on it, but I just use the component out, and
Yeah, but it's like a 720p system
right,
anyway,
and
so
I've
you're
got it
fine.
hooked, and it's perfect. I've got it hooked to a 720p TV, so it's works great. And that's where I got my 360 hooked up to that same TV too. So it's like, and yeah, I don't even have the internet hooked up to them either console, which is a little iffy with the Xbox, but it worked out perfect because a lot of those games, anything that needed the internet, I've got the back compat version on my Xbox One, and it'll be on my Xbox Series X too, because all those games, if they're already back compat, they're already back compat for the
Right,
Series
right.
X. And my understanding is they're going to go back and do some more OG ones because there's only about 40 of those right now, and there desperately needs to be more. They're just going to have to work out whatever they got to do to get those games. Uh, Even if they got to pay extra money for the licensing and stuff. There's just too many great games that's not been done back compat yet for the OG Xbox 360. They did really well, and even there's like I said, all those Japanese cave games. I don't think any of those are back compat, and some of those were US. Not just they weren't just Japanese; they were US releases. But I guess not enough people ever went online and told Microsoft, because they had that site you could go to and tell them what games you wanted back compat. I guess nobody was picking any of those except me. So there was one vote for some of these cave shooters every week. I was going online and I was trying to like email or tweet Larry Herb about, hey, why aren't we getting any of these? And I think he actually tweeted me back one time saying that because nobody's asking for them. Kind of
That's too
sucks,
bad.
but
Yeah, because
yeah,
there's some original OG Xbox games I have that I would love to play. on the new system, especially with the uh, the AI. Oh gosh, HDR. They would look amazing.
Well, they pulled that team that was doing back compat off to work exclusively to get Xbox One games, every single one of them to be immediately back compat on the Series S and X. So that way, there's not a game, whether you got the disc or whether you have it digitally on a hard drive. You plug that hard drive into your Series X or S, boom, you can play it
Right.
right off the bat. Same thing for games that they already had back compat, the 360s and but that team will go back to just doing older back compat titles once this transition is over. They're also were doing something else besides the back compat. I forget what it was. That the guy that was over that whole team, he was on the Iron Lords podcast at one point, and he was talking about it. They had been switched off of back compat to doing something else, and then they were going to kind of transition right into making sure that everything that's out now will all play on the S and the X.
I definitely plan on getting the Series X. Hopefully by February, my birthday. So that's my goal. But I have to hold off at least for Christmas because I've hit my maximum what I can afford right now. But it will be mine, and I do look forward to it.
We're hitting that hour and 90-minute point. I think that might be pretty good. We've covered about everything that was new and
Yeah.
hot in the news and some stuff that wasn't, that we were just talking about. Oh, this is probably just me not knowing stuff, but I was waiting on my son who was getting some Chinese food today, and it was a little restaurant that was like attached to a big supermarket chain. But they had one of those red boxes out front. Well, I don't ever use red box because I don't want to have to drive back to a vending machine the
Sure.
next day and drop off a game. I think that's horrible, and I'm either going to watch it on Netflix or I'm going to buy the disc. You can actually buy all those games or movies in those red box. They'll let you just buy it. You don't get the case, but you get a little thin plastic case that's the red box case, and they're dirt cheap. So I bought 3 or 4 movies that are current that were still on Amazon right now for full price, or still sitting on the shelves at Walmart full price. They're $3.99. I
Yeah.
didn't know that. I guess I'm the only person I don't know. I haven't bought anything from a red box in
To be
many
honest,
years.
unless you use it a lot, or you're not gonna know because it's not well advertised, and probably for the
No.
best in a way, because it's kind of like the best kept secret type of deal.
Yeah, I shouldn't be saying it over the internet, but you know what? We don't even have anybody watching this right now. This is basically just me and you talking to each other. Hopefully, we'll get some views later on, but we're not picking up enough steam. I don't know what's going on. I think they just don't like me or something.
I
I
don't
think
think
'cause
it's
I'm not
that.
negative about Xbox. Maybe they'll start saying some bad crap because we
Xbox
can pick
sucks,
up
man.
viewers.
It
Yeah,
sucks.
that's how you build your audience. I could name off 5 guys right now that were Xbox guys that just to grow their channels flip flopped, and now they're like total asshats and say crappy stuff. But I don't want to. I don't even deal with those guys.
No,
I just blocked them all on Twitter, and I don't
stay true to
ever watch them.
yourself.
Yep, I
Yeah.
don't ever watch their videos anymore, and I'm never going to. But yeah, so I don't. And it's Saturday night, so I think that's why we're not picking up enough people. But I don't care. I enjoy doing the show, and if we're
Yes.
consistent, we will get viewers at some point.
Sure.
We,
Plus, it's not like it's a one and done. Like, for example, this your podcasts are there for anyone to view anytime. So people can always go back and say, "Oh, okay, they
yeah,
can
they're
listen
on
to
the
it." And
channel, and once I
yeah,
start dropping some videos, I am gonna be doing some game reviews and movie reviews. I'm just not gonna do it with gameplay or footage from the movies because that's too complicated, and I don't
yeah,
have any editing software. So I'm basically gonna do my video just basically like a podcast. But when I'm done, it'll be filmed. I'll use my Note 9, and then when I'm done filming it, then you hit one little button and boom, it uploads to YouTube. I talk to Mads Gaming all the time, and that's how he does all his videos. It's just him sitting there, and he talks about stuff. And he just uses a phone, and he doesn't have to do any editing unless he screws up something really bad. Then he might have to reshoot the whole video, but he doesn't put that into a video software for those kind of videos. Now he also puts some background stuff now for the when he's doing our podcast, or if he has some videos that he puts some fancier stuff in. So, but a lot of his is just he just uses his camera and shoots it, and then boom, uploads it to YouTube.
Sometimes that's all you need. I mean,
Yeah, so
that's
I need to start doing that, and I've got I got a nice tripod for the camera and all that, and a nice microphone. I just every time I get ready to do it, and I do some tests, and I don't like the look of it, and then I hee haw about it, and then I just don't do it. But I know I got to do it. If we want to get people watching this, you got to drop some videos and then put really stupid thumbnails up. That's the other thing. I don't know if you realized I don't even put thumbnails up for whatever I select at the beginning when I start the video. That's what shows up on the channel, and they're all half of them are the same picture. I don't go back in and put a fancy thumbnail. I need to start doing that though. That's how you get views, and I'm gonna have to start doing it because we got to get some people. So if you got any thumbnails you want to work on, send to me for any of these podcasts. I'll put them up, and we'll put Xbox slashes Sony in the throat or some kind of stupid title like that. I don't know, and and maybe we'll get some views.
I'll see what I can find. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure I have a couple. My phone is and my computer has a lot of stuff on it. So
Oh yeah. Well, then just DM me the pictures, and I'll slap them on there, and type out some kind of crazy title line that'll piss off some PlayStation guys and get them to watch. It's funny though. I think they just don't do that. Whereas Xbox guys sees a Sony guy put a negative, they go in and watch it. I'm like, why do you do that? If you see this guy's putting a negative, don't click on it, because if you click on it, you just helped him. You don't have to watch his whole video. And once you click on it, he gets credit for you watching it. And it doesn't matter if you put a dislike. That YouTube goes, oh, people are watching. That helps them. So you can't even click on those things. So I just stay away from them people on YouTube.
yeah, you don't need the toxicity there. You're just better off.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not gonna put clickbait titles and things like that on it, but it would benefit me for any of the videos I do or any of these podcasts to at least put a different thumbnail up and a nice little heading. But we'll see. Like I said, this was show 7, so it's not like there's 50 of them that I haven't done. There's some older ones that I did like a year ago, but right now there's only 7 from this little current time span where I'm back doing them. So yeah, it won't be a big deal to go back and put some thumbnails on those. And I think our podcasts are getting better each week. We hit just enough topics, but I like the fact that we're not tied to that next topic, next topic, next topic.
Right.
I get tired of
Yeah.
that when I'm watching some podcasts. It's like, no, we're having a discussion, and if people don't like that, then don't watch. But we discuss things, and yeah, it just to me it works out really well.
I
As
agree.
long as we cover enough current stuff and some retro stuff and some movie stuff, that's what this show's all about. And anything you want to talk about, you can always bring up. No biggie.
Absolutely. I appreciate that. I do. Thank you.
And I've got some bigger name type people than either one of us that said they'll be coming on here. And we had Xbot 448
Oh
jump in
yeah.
one night
That was a
uh,
fun. That was a fun
to
one.
drop a few names like the Graphic God. He said, yeah, hey, and I've asked him right before the show a couple of times, but he was busy. Like tonight, he was like, oh man, I can't. He said, send me the invite next week, Owen. So he might be on here next week.
Oh,
And,
cool.
and same thing for Shady, So Shady. He
Yeah.
went away from YouTube for a while. Now he's kind of back. And he was like, maybe, and if he can't, next week, I think he's going to be on GRG's podcast. So he might not do us. I don't know, but he might. I ask those guys every week, hey, just let you know I'm doing the podcast tonight. If you're available, great. If not, great. At least pop in if you can to the chat and give us a like. I don't mind. But there's plenty of them, and there's some bigger ones that I haven't asked because I feel like we don't get enough views yet. I'm not going to ask like Mr. Boomstick or the RDX guys because I would just be using them to get more views and stuff. But I'd like to get a few on our own to show merit, and then we can invite some bigger name people. But we'll see. Maybe I'll get desperate and beg Dealer Gaming to come on my show. I seen he was on a little one this morning that somebody puts out, and they had like 300 views, and that was like a record for them. And I'm like, no, we do more than that on Magic's podcast. So, well, maybe not live. I think we usually top out at about 150 live, but he usually gets over 1,000 after a few days for the next gen podcast we do on Friday afternoons. So it does pretty good. But yeah, even though it had Dealer Gaming on that thing this morning, it was kind of a tiny show, and he was helping them out. But yeah, I don't want to be a podcast begging guy. Some of the people that I know and I've seen in chats, and especially like the Graphic God, he made my little cartoon me avatar thing, and he helped me back when I first wanted to do some videos and a podcast. So he's a good dude. So yeah, I think he'll be on here sooner or later. It's the weekends. That's his off time, so it's kind of he don't do too many shows. He does more middle of the week and the evenings after he's off work. I know he's on that Retro Renegades but yeah.
Yeah, I have to
Anyway, let's
catch him.
call it a night. We're past 90 minutes, and I think with just two, that's pretty good. That covers a lot. If you get 3 and 4, you got to go. You got to go 2+ hours. To be honest, I don't have anything else I want to talk about tonight. I think everybody's beat to death this whole. Are these Bethesda games coming to PlayStation or not?
At all the high points, I think.
Yeah, I mean, we got our points out there on it, and that's all you can do. And if people are going to cut, somebody's watching now. We have one. I think at one point we had 2. Now it's back to 1 viewer, and hopefully we'll get 40, 50 views after a week. That night that Xbox came on, I think we actually hit 30 at one point, which was pretty cool. Or maybe it was 37 a week later. I don't know.
Celebrities always get the viewership.
Yeah.
That was awesome, though. That was a fun night. I enjoyed that.
Yeah. Skinny would jumped in. He was going to come in tonight, but he didn't make it home from work in time, so he did jump in chat to let me know he wasn't going to make it.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, he's cool too. I enjoyed talking with him as well. That's good. I know he's not watching now, but and hello, viewer. I don't know who you are, but hello. Feel free to.
Early in the show, Shinzo Elite was on, and so yeah. But I need to start pushing some people that are, hey, if you sub to my channel, at least jump in for a minute or two and click like, and then that way the channel can start growing. I had that before, like from a year ago when I did a few. It was just me ranting, and some of those got pretty decent while I was online. People jumping in. But when we started this back up, I haven't promoted it too heavy, and although I was on. I was just on somebody's show the other. I was the Friday show with Mads, and then at the end of the show, I made sure everybody knew that me and you were doing this tonight. But it didn't get us any extra views yet, so I throw it out there. Hey, I do a Saturday night podcast.
Well, we'll have to, like you said. I think we do like the little gifts and things and little clip arts.
I hope I get some movie reviews up there because I have 1,600 people follow me on Twitter, and I tweet this stuff out, and I'm not getting. I have a lot of movie people, a lot of horror movie people. I'm like, man, they need to come on in here and check out my podcast because because they don't want. Some of them are even gamers, but they don't want to go to a gaming podcast. But I think they like the horror podcast. But there's so many big horror podcasts that have like actors and big time Hollywood people on them, and I'm never gonna be able to compete with that stuff.
Yeah. Well, hey, we say that now. Who knows? Maybe in a year we have a ton of people.
Yeah, you
Looking
never
to.
know. There's several actual Hollywood star people that I follow and they follow me, and I've even had little conversations back and forth with them. And they're more like B movie stars, and I'm not dropping none of their
Yeah,
names, but they're out there. They're on my Twitter, and it's pretty cool. And I
that
thought
is.
about even asking some of them, but it's like, well, they're just gonna say no because they're like, they're like a Hollywood. They've been in real movies, and a couple of them's been in movies like Reanimator, and you know, it's like, well, can I get this person? And it's like, well, but I talk so much about gaming too. You almost have to do a separate channel. For some reason, people don't like the mixed stuff, but I think that makes the show better. But that's just me. Yeah,
I agree. I mean, hey, also too, just throw it out there. If anyone has feedback on the show, I mean, let Mojo know. I mean,
yeah, DM me. But I just can't. Most gamers I know love, are also movie people too. They love, watching
yeah,
movies and they collect DVDs and Blu-rays, and or they have us, or they watch a ton of Netflix and Amazon Prime. It's like, man, it's the perfect kind of combination.
it
And
really
we
is.
can even talk some music too. I've got a very small but vinyl collection.
Oh, I wanted to throw this out there. Speaking of movies, real quick. The Wizard. Remember The Wizard with Fred Savage?
Oh
That
yeah,
was basically so the Amazon. I think they still have the deal. It's like $16 for the special edition Blu-ray, and it has a bunch of extras on it. Uh, so I recommend that if you want to check out a good, anyone out there who's listening to this, if you want a fun movie from the '90s,
oh yeah,
which is basically one big Super Mario Brothers 3 commercial, but or one
yeah,
big Nintendo commercial. But I mean, it's so much fun to watch. I love that
yeah. I
movie.
just watched the one from that a little earlier than that one, but it had the one with Matthew Broderick where he almost did the nuclear war thing.
Oh yeah, War Games. That's an
Yeah, war
excellent
games.
one.
I just watched that on YouTube by accident the other day. I had about 2 hours before I had to leave for an appointment, and I was I just it was it somehow it popped into my feed because full movies sometimes pop in there, and I'm like, I clicked on it because I wanted to see what the quality looked like, and that's one of those movies. The next thing I know, I'm seeing the credits roll, and I'm like, oh crap, I got to go right now.
Yeah,
But
no, I
it's
love that.
still a great movie.
It has one of the best climaxes I've ever seen.
Yeah,
Yeah, I have to say it's a classic. So, uh, yeah, but the Wizard is out on Amazon. The special edition has a neat little. They redid the cover. You'll see it. It looks like an 8-bit game. Um, and if you haven't watched that movie, I recommend it. I mean, it's a little campy by today's standards, but in a good way.
yeah.
So,
That's like the monster one that has
oh,
Frankenstein, Dracula in it, and the kids.
yeah, Monster Squad.
Yeah,
Monster
that's a
Squad.
great movie.
Love
It's
that movie. I
yeah.
highly recommend it.
Oh yeah, it's
Wolfman's got nuts.
yeah. It's got just the right amount of humor. I wouldn't call it a
Yep.
horror movie, but at the same time, it's not just a comedy either, or kids. It's not just a kids movie either. It's
No,
just a good movie.
it is. I mean, it's great for Halloween. I
Yeah,
highly recommend it.
yeah. It's kind of I always relate it to the one with the kids where they got the pirates and the criminals that they fool. That oh man, my memory is like horrible sometimes. Spielberg
Goonies?
produced Goonies, yeah,
Goonies? Yeah.
and Monster Squad's probably not quite as good as the Goonies, although I actually like it better than the Goonies. But both are great movies.
Yeah,
It doesn't get
Goonies is. I
they
always
don't
wanted
come
to
off as
live where
kids
they were.
movies because I really dislike kids movies, and I don't most like kids in most movies. But those are two movies that are exceptions that you don't feel like you're watching a kid's movie. You're just watching a
Right.
great movie.
Absolutely.
But all right, let's get off here now. And oh, somebody just popped into the chat. Duke Togo 13.
Ah, my chat just disappeared.
Yeah,
There it
he
is.
asked if we've
Hello.
seen videos of people fighting over PS5s. I have not seen that. I did see where one guy that does a lot of podcasts. I'm not gonna say his name. He's a really good dude, but he's on everybody's shows. He tweeted out a pic at his store that showed, I don't know, maybe 30, 40 people in line. And I tweeted back, yeah, my store had exactly 7 people, and they all got PS5s. Uh, but yeah, that was that. You know, but my store doesn't get all that business. So, but they had the exact amount of people showed up that was pre-ordering PS5s, and that was the second pre-order, by the way, when they did it just a couple of days ago.
Right.
Uh, but yeah, I've not seen any videos. Duke Togo 13. That's an interesting name. But yeah, I'll look. I like seeing people make fools of themselves on YouTube, so I'll try to check that out.
Yeah, I'm gonna check that out too. I've been watching a lot of Karen videos, so just do little PS3 fighting videos. PS3, right? I'm sure there was F too, but PS5 videos be interesting.
Yeah, I heard some people complaining about where Xbox sold, a lot, sold out real quick in Asia, and they tried to make up either lies or downplay it and stuff like that. And it's like, just stop it, man. They've been going over there, and they were at the Tokyo Game Show, and they set all this up perfect. So yeah, they sold out quick. And how many they have, I don't know, but I know they diverted a bunch of Series S's over there because I know they figure that's what's going to sell the most. And yeah, I think it worked out well for them, and I think they're going
Yeah.
to keep selling. They're not going to outsell Switches. They're not going to outsell PS5s in Asian markets, but they're going to be respectable this time around. I don't think it's going to be embarrassing like it was with the Xbox One.
Yeah, I agree.
And
They're in good position. They're in a
I
great
always
position.
thought if they would have pushed in Japan when they come out with the first S model, which was so much smaller, they were never going to sell the original Xbox One in Japan. And I'm telling you right now, PS5 is not going to sell nearly what they did with PS4, or it's too big.
Yeah.
Japanese don't buy them big giant consoles. They did not like the PS3 in Japan, that original Fat Boy model. They didn't take off decent numbers in Japan until they started doing those slim down versions. And then PS3 started moving off shelves over there. People forget history. I lived through all that, and I was living in Korea when those consoles were on sale, and the Koreans wasn't buying them either until they did the slims. And being over there, I just was tracking all that stuff at the time, and yeah, 360s though were flying off the shelves in the States throughout the gen, and eventually PS3s did too. Once they cut the price and then and made them smaller, they started selling really well, and everybody acts like, oh, well, they caught them at the end. It was this great big catching them. They were never more. Microsoft was rarely more than 5 or 6 million ahead of them that whole generation. And I think Microsoft was at 9 or 10 million after a year. Okay, that's all.
Yeah, they didn't.
And then
You're right.
Sony sold right off the bat about 5 million pretty quick. And Microsoft stayed about 5 million ahead of them most of the entire gen. And it wasn't until the very end. And those last 2 years, it's a miracle Sony didn't really pull way ahead of them, because Microsoft, that's when they started making some. Donnie D was in charge and was making some bad decisions.
Right.
And there was no more good games coming out. It was just some crappy Kinect games being dropped. And yeah, they sold a lot of Kinects. Yes, they did. But those Kinect games were not very good, and they wasn't selling a lot of those. And I think it really hurt that the releases, the big, they should have had some big AAA releases come out that last 2 years, and they just didn't. I mean, they had a couple, but it wasn't like what Sony was dropping bangers the last 2 years of the PS3 like crazy. But yeah, anyway, we said we were going to get off, and then I got off on a tangent about Japan and games and stuff, which is cool. We'll blame Duke Togo 13 since he was the one brought up the people fighting over the pre-orders at GameStop, which led me to the whole conversation that got to the yeah. Anyway, dude, it was fun. We'll do it again next week.
Absolutely.
Anybody that watches it later on, please do a like, do a shout out. Even if it's later on and you're watching it, go ahead and tweet out that this was a good podcast and you enjoyed it. And help us out. We need it. We need people to like and subscribe to the channel. And you know what? This is never going to be about money. I am never going to accept a dime from YouTube. So you don't have to worry. I'm not some guys looking to try to make money. This is not my profession. I am a bad health, forced to retire guy that ain't got nothing to do but play games, watch movies, and then do some podcasting. And I love it. So we'll build up a big audience, and I'm not going to ever make my show what do they call it when you get monetarily?
Monetary?
Yeah, I'm not going to go for that. I'm not going to ever try that. I don't care that we get 10,000. If I get 10,000 subs and we start getting, 1,000, 1,500 people live, I am not going to go for money. I don't think I'll even turn on for super chats. You have to pay tax on that money anyway. That seems too complicated to me. I don't want to do that. So
yeah, it gets messy.
I don't want people. You know what? If you put something in the chat, if you get 1,500 people, then yeah, I guess you got to make people pay to read their thing off because there's so many. Yeah, but right now I don't think we're ever going to be that big. So I could just look at who put something in the chat and read it. I don't mind doing that. If they're watching the show, I'll try to always, especially if it's a cool comment or something worth putting out there, we'll throw it out there. And then later, if we get a little bit big, then yeah, we might have to do super chats just because if you got enough people in your chat, that's about the only way you can decide what gets read over the air or not. So I get that. But it ain't going to be for paying no bills or anything like that. All right. We will be back next Saturday at 7 p.m. And everybody have a wonderful rest of the weekend. And again, like, subscribe, and yeah. And I guess hopefully we'll get some people watching later. As soon as we're off here, I'm going to go right back to Twitter and do a tweet out about people. Hey, come check this out. It was a good show. We cover a lot. We cover more stuff than most podcasts do. They'll hit 4 or 5 gaming topics, but then there'll be 4, 5, 6 people all say about the same thing. And at least here we're just two guys that like gaming and movies and talking about it. Yeah.
Exactly.
All right.
Well, thank you. Thank you for everyone who watched. And thank you for listening. We appreciate it.
All right, everybody. We are out of here, and we hopefully will see you next week. And please, if you catch the show later, give us a like.